Hello, and welcome to Totally Booked
Right now. Wow, you said it fast. Nailed
I'm
it.
so sorry. Yep, nailed
Nailed
it
it.
again. Yep. We're like 6 for 6 on these, I swear.
Yeah. One day.
I know. Well, I'm Cammie.
And I'm Kirsten.
Today, we are doing a little bit of a different episode. We're calling these our bookmark episodes. We're taking a pause from reading and we're kind of checking in with each other what we're reading right now. And then maybe we're going to talk about some other book-related topics kind of near the end of the episode.
Yes.
Just kind of a check-in. It's the end of January, so...
I know. 81 days later, January's over. But I just want to say, too, our theme for today is books that messed us up. So
yes,
I got to tell Cammie about some of these books that I read them a long time ago, but I still think about them a lot.
I'm in the same boat. I've got quite a few, and some of them it's going to be obvious just if you've listened to some other stuff. But I think there will be some on there that is a little bit of a surprise to you, or just why I feel that way about them, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I might get carried away, too, and need more episodes of these.
I know. Maybe it's like, okay, we're going to talk about like 2 of them and then we'll just tack it on to the end of another episode about what else really messed us up. Yes. So,
but how was your January?
My January, I'll be honest, I was pretty busy working on this podcast for a lot of it.
It felt underwhelming to me. I was like, oh my God, I only read like 5 things. That's embarrassing.
I know, it's really going to kick me off track for the year, maybe. And then I was sick, and that kind of put a damper on reading too. But I did get in a couple. And of course, like I counted our January book club book and what I've read this month. And, I guess kind of The Island, which that episode's coming soon to the pod.
Next week.
For everybody next week. And then, well, do you want me to start? I can tell you about my really silly book.
Tell me about the vampires. I've been waiting.
Okay, so this book, Kindle Unlimited, I just decided I needed a little bit of like something silly that was maybe gonna... I did. This book was called The World's Wimpiest Vampire. Okay. So I'm gonna just set the scene a little bit. So I pull it up, and basically it is like modern day, and this poor, very wimpy dude gets bit by a drunk vampire in a back alley of a bar. He goes outside to get some fresh air, and some random vampire comes up and bites him.
Bit. I thought you said hit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like in a car? Like what? What's happening?
It bit him, but he faints at the sight of blood. This person that got bit by the vampire. Okay, right? So this whole thing is we catch up with him like 3 weeks after he actually gets bitten, and he is trying to survive off of red, like syrup slurpee stuff because he's now working on an overnight shift at a convenience store because he can't be awake during the day.
Yeah.
So he's trying to survive off of ketchup packets and red Slurpee.
I don't think the color is the issue here.
But it's so... Okay, so then the other main character in this book, this was a MM, but it wasn't very, like... It was just a very silly, like, romp, honestly. Yeah. And the other main character, he works for an organization that, like, takes down vampires.
As a vampire?
He is, like, a part... Okay, so we don't know this at the very beginning, but this other guy who is the vampire hunter, the reason he became a vampire hunter is because a vampire broke into his house and killed his mom and tried to bite him as well. And this guy from this organization that it now works for basically came and found him and kept him alive and prevented him from actually transforming fully into a vampire. So it's kind of interesting. So he has this vampire hunter who really hates, vampires because they killed his mother. There's kind of like there's a plot with the company that he works for, or this organization, that like you find out that they're actually a pretty bad place, and they were setting these kids up, like they had a training program, and he was like specifically picked to be a vampire hunter because he had no other Yes. So there's like this whole other subplot. But the funny part about this whole book, again, is that the actual vampire in this book faints at the sight of blood. And the vampire hunter, once he catches up to him, he like purposely cuts himself in front of him and the guy just passes out. Like, and I was dying. It was so stupid. Like, it was so hilarious, though.
Funny.
And okay, so then also in this book, the other really funny thing that I want to mention, and then I won't go into any more detail really about it because it's just kind of silly. But in this book, vampires also have an animal form. So they're shapeshifters also in this book. And so every vampire turns into usually a predator of some form. And so the main vampire in the book, once he kind of catches up with some other vampires and they teach him how to be a vampire, which is really funny too. His animal form is a bunny. He turns.
I was like, what is it gonna be?
Because he is so wimpy. It is so silly, but it was really funny, and I feel like it gave me a little bit of levity that was neat. Like this month has just been kind of crazy and like weird, and we've been super busy like trying to get this done. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read this like
zero
really silly book.
stakes.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I was sitting on the couch reading it and I'm laughing because he keeps turning into a bunny and then he like attacks these other vampires in his bunny form and he gets all these kudos for doing that. And it's just, he's trying to just like gnaw at them and like kick them with his long back legs.
Reminds me. I mean, bunnies, I feel like they could hurt you. They have, their teeth are sharp. Did you ever see that weird Skittles commercial? Back in the day with the weird, like he trades for that weird singing bunny in the Skittles, and then it attacks him. God.
Yep, you know
My
what?
friend and I
That's
used
probably
to love that commercial.
It's probably a pretty good visual of what this
the
book
inspiration.
Was. But yeah, and I mean, I was sitting on the couch, and Devin is like, "What is so funny?" And then I explained it to him, and he was like, "Okay,
yeah, just disappointed." And you. Like you had to be there. Listen, it's really difficult to explain.
But it was really funny. It really made me laugh really hard. So what about you? What was any fanfics? I know you said you were going to pick some, maybe look at a couple or.
No, I know. I haven't had a chance. I'm like, I just need to get through these other things. I started reading At the Mercy of Midnight, which is a published version of a Hermione fanfic called Meet Me at Midnight. Very basic premise is the same, but it's more, I mean, the published one is like more fleshed out. Obviously, it's like a different world and whatever. Meet Me at Midnight, I really loved the banter and the spice in that one. And then this one that I'm reading, I haven't gotten there yet. And I took a little break, but I am at like the 40% mark or something. And I'm like, I need to get to it to see if it's as good as it was in the fan fiction.
So I have a question for you about like the percentage markers because I was just thinking about this. I feel like with romances, especially in general, when I am reading one, I have kind of stuff needs to start happening by a certain percentage. And then also once I get to a certain point, I'm like, are we going to have a third act breakup? I'm like, okay, we're at 75 to 85%. I start anticipating it. Do you feel that way when you?
I don't know. Now I'll probably pay attention to it, but sometimes I kind of know going into it, like this is a slow burn and sometimes those fics are like over 1,000 pages, so it's all relative. I might be at 30%, but I've been reading for like 20 hours already.
Right.
You're like, oh my God. But yeah, no, if there's like tension and banter, I guess I could see where you get to a point where you're like, oh my God, will they, won't they? I'm tired of this. But most of the time, I enjoy that build up.
Yeah. I do my best not to cheat and look, but I am anticipating certain things at certain points in the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at certain points, because they're like, usually that there's got to be a conflict with time for resolution. If it's a standalone, sometimes if you already know the book is going to be part of a series, then sometimes you can be like, okay, we're now at the 90% mark. Something big is getting ready to happen that is maybe not going to be. I'm not going to.
Right. I feel like I do. When I think about percentages, it's more like, okay, we're at this percentage, and how are they going to resolve everything? Or if something bad happens right now, like,
right.
But I don't know. That's a good thing to think about. Or something that's going to ruin things for me.
I know. I'm sorry. I was like, oh, shoot, you don't think about things that way. And I do, because I will watch my percentage across the bottom and I'm like, ooh, something is probably going to happen now or soon.
I'm more just thinking like, how much more of this, because I can get to the next thing. And then some other stuff I've been reading is just one shots. which are just scenes or almost like a chapter, but they're completely just floating on their own. It's like somebody had a plot bunny and they just wrote this one scene, but there was this collection that I was reading through by Sinlin Yu.
Okay.
And she does this kind of a lot where she'll find fan art and be inspired by it and then write a story based on the picture. And so all of these have artwork and then a story that she wrote about it. So they're cute and short, and I can get through them and be like, yay! Gonna cross that off the list. Love that for me.
Mm-hmm. I read another, I guess I was sad about Heated Rivalry, so I did pick up another
A
hockey.
one? Yeah, nice.
It's called Zone Entry. I finished it, and I'm reading the second one in it. It's called Off the Boards. I'm only about halfway through that one, but they're both really good, actually. Like actual real character development, and just they're good plots, actually.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. The conflict makes sense. I'm actually really enjoying them. And then my sister-in-law, she just finished this book. I think I told you, Rose in Chains.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, read
so,
that.
Yeah, so I'm starting that as well. I started it and then I kind of put it down because I'm trying to finish our romantasy that we're doing for the podcast.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, maybe I should not pick up another get too invested into this before I finish another one because my brain is going to go a little.
Yeah.
Little
Are you
crazy,
reading
I
the
think.
physical book of that? Or are you reading it on Kindle?
Physical.
Ooh, girl, the percentage on that one is gonna fuck you up.
Oh my gosh. Well, then I'm so excited. Well, then I'll I'll go and look at the actual total page number so I can think about my percentages or approximations.
No, I just
for that.
Yeah, like remember, it's gonna be a trilogy.
Yes.
And it's the story does not get resolved in book one in any way.
That's what my sister-in-law, she warned me. She's like, it was so good, but it just kind of, she's like, I want more. I'm ready for more.
You're talking about a slow burn. You need to read the auction. I will have to you can't download it anymore. And I don't know how to send it to you because I don't have it on PDF, but I'll be like, here, borrow my Kindle, log into it. I have it downloaded because that is,
that one's really good, huh?
Yeah. And then, because those were all the ones I read right after finishing Manacled. And okay, let me tell you my story. So the right thing to do and all the wrong things. The right thing to do is Hermione's POV, the whole book, and it's year after they all graduate from Hogwarts. Draco's been in prison for a year and he's up for parole. And Harry and Hermione, I'm not sure if Ron does, but they testify for him, and so he's able to get out and be on parole. And he has to work in the art department with Harry and Ron for a little bit, and then he goes off and starts his own business, and Hermione ends up going to work for him. And Julie Soto is like, mwah, she's so good at writing that. It's cute and super fun. And then All the Wrong Things is the same story, but from Draco's point of view. Which we love. And in both of those books, they each have individual flashbacks back to Hogwarts where they had secret crushes on each other, and there's things that happen. And Draco has more flashbacks where things that happened during the war that he did to protect Hermione and all these things.
Interesting.
And so then the auction is an AU, an alternate universe of that story. So instead of whatever happening, Harry dies in the Battle of Hogwarts and things go off in a different direction. But all of the flashbacks you got from the first two books still apply because they all happened in Hogwarts before the Battle of Hogwarts. So, because in the auction, you only get Hermione's point of view. You don't hear anything from Draco ever. Having that context, I feel like makes the auction better. And then what else was I gonna say? Oh, and also fun fact, the auction was written because as she was writing All the Wrong Things, a fan commented, or a reader commented on one of the chapters and was like, you should write this AU, because Draco mentions the auction to Hermione. He's like, listen, if you guys had lost the war, you would have been sold and blah, blah, blah. And somebody was like, that's a great idea. You should write that. And she was like, I already have a few chapters. She just started writing it because somebody gave her that idea. And I was like, that's so cool.
That is really cool.
So, those are 100% worth reading. They're really popular and for good reason. They're very, very good. Add it to your list. And you can still download those first two off of AO3. They're still available because they haven't been published the same way.
So
good. It's so good.
Good to know. I know. Well, you were telling me, you're like, oh, that's a that was a fanfic that was made. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, I got it for Christmas. I'm a little
Yeah.
worried though, because I think I told you Devin got me the pretty one with the
Yeah.
sprayed edges. And so I was like, do I really want to read this
It's your
physically?
trophy.
Because I know it's my trophy
Yes.
shelf
I only have it
book.
in physical copy.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
buy it on
Me too.
Kindle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. You want some tabs? I got a bunch.
Well, I think I have a couple. I got them. Someone gave me some at some point.
Oh,
I just have to
nice.
search through my stuff and find them. Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
surprisingly fun to tab books.
It is.
I didn't expect it to be, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love this."
I know. And I really like it on Kindle that now that the highlights have, multiple color choices.
Oh,
That's
yep.
really fun. Really
Yeah,
fun.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I wish that my Paperwhite had some options with that, and it does not.
Mhm. I guess you have to
So
get a color soft. Oh.
I guess so. Just twist my arm because,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
need I need
no.
I need 3 Kindles.
Or
Yes.
I guess, what are the other ones I've seen?
Is it Nook?
It's no, but it's a Kobo,
Okay. Okay.
because it's, like, not Amazon,
Right.
which, Amazon is kind of the devil, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
sold my soul a long time ago.
Yep. Yeah. Just not
Anyway, so what? Do you have
know.
anything? I was gonna
No, I
say,
mean,
do you wanna hear
that's
about
kind of
my fucked up book?
yes, I do, please.
I'm gonna paint the picture for you. I read this in 2020, so,
Okay.
not the most recent, but I feel like I do remember, like, it pretty well.
Mhm.
It's called Desert Flowers by Paul Penn, who's a Spanish author, and so it was translated by Simon Bruni, just in case anyone wants to know. But it's about this family that lives in the desert. I think it's like Baja Desert on the Mexico side. And they
Uh-huh.
live this super remote, their house is in the middle of nowhere. And it's a mom and a dad and 5 daughters. And I can't remember their names, but they're all named after flowers. And that's why it's called Desert Flowers. But it's 3 daughters and then a pair of twins or
Okay.
like twins. So they're the youngest. And the oldest daughter, her name is Edelweiss, the only one I remember, but she died. I don't know, maybe within the last year. Everyone's still kind of dealing with the grief of her death. And it's implied that she died of something that was preventable and her parents just didn't take her to the doctor. So already it's like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
And the daughters are all, I think the second oldest daughter is starting to feel restless, but she's very so naive and sheltered. And then the middle daughter is kind of one of our more, she feels more like a main character.
Okay.
And then the twins, they play this game where they try to mirror each other as perfectly as possible. And they try to act as identical as possible. And you find out it's because only the family knows there's 2 of them. So the rest of like the town, they don't really go into town ever, but they do have a tutor that comes, or if anybody comes to the house, one of them hides. And yeah, so everybody only thinks there's one. And one day, this young man, he's probably his late teens or early 20s, shows up to the house and he says that he has been hiking through. He's like going on a trail or something. I don't really know, like, I can't remember why he is like, I need to stay here. And they're like, you can stay for one night and that's it. And you can sleep out in the dad's truck. Of course, the second oldest daughter is like instantly in love with him because she's just so on a different planet. And at some point, they're at dinner. They're all eating dinner at the table, and the twins switch places halfway through dinner as part of their weird little game. And they're kind of mischievous. And they, I think, like either one of them has a cut or something, and either the cut appears where it wasn't there before, or it disappears, and he notices, and it's like he has a little realization, like, or that validates something for him. He's like, oh yes, and he's kind of snooping around. And all this. The mom is super suspicious of him. The oldest daughter that died also drew. She was like an artiste, and
Mhm.
he sees a self-portrait of her, and that triggers something for him too. And then in the middle of the night, everybody's asleep. He sneaks out. Turns out he has a car that's kind of like parked far away. He actually drove in and found their house. And he has all of these cut newspaper clippings about missing children and things. And I don't know if we know this yet or not, but we've learned it from the mom at some point. She actually can't have children. And so her and the dad have stolen all of these kids when they were infants. Yeah. And they and they live out, that's why they live so remotely, and they didn't take Edelweiss to the doctor and blah blah blah. And the twins, the mom, I think she's like kind of endeared to the guy a little bit because she wanted boys and they stole the twins thinking that they were boys. And then it turned out that they were girls. I don't know. It's just so crazy. So then he might already have hurt himself because he purposefully hurts himself on a cactus so he can stay longer. But I can't remember exactly the turn of events. And then somehow, and we find out that he's Edelweiss's brother. And he's like, that's why he's on this mission to find them. And I think the next morning when the dad's going to work, he sees the car, like the sun reflects on the glass. I can't remember if he finds the articles or if the boy brought them back. Somehow, at some point in the book, the third daughter gets them all and she reads them and starts to like put things together. But then I think because they find the car, I think the boy was like, okay, bye. I'm going, I'm hiking again. And they chase him down in the car, try to run him over. But instead, they run him into a giant cactus. And so he's horribly maimed and hurt. So they take him back to their house, basically so that he can die. And he's just like chilling in the daughter's bed that's like in love with him. So it's taking longer than they wanted it to. And she sneaks in the middle of the night and is like, this is such a good conversation I'm having with this person who is not lucid. She thinks they're in love or whatever. She leaves. And then the middle daughter sneaks in at some point. And I think that's maybe when he tells her things and she understands that he's hurt and still alive, but like he can't move, whatever. Then it ends up the mom and the dad crush up pills and force him to drink this thing so that he'll finally die. And I can't remember if the girl watches it happen or she sees him right after he's dead or like she knows that he's no longer alive. And then they stage his death like that he broke back in and they shot him and killed him after he forced entry into their home. And then I think a lady comes, like their tutor or something comes to try to help. And they're like, oh my God, he tried to attack us. And then the daughter, so everything, whatever, nobody gets in trouble. The kid's dead. And then the middle daughter goes with her dad into town one day, weeks later or something, and she brings, I don't know, like art, she brings Edelweiss's drawing, something that she made, her other sibling, all of them, and she mails them out to their individual families because of the newspaper articles. She knows where they live. And then the book ends with the cops like coming out to the house. So yeah, I think about that book a lot.
That sounds wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it was
that sounds crazy.
I know, reading that it was like COVID. I was pregnant. It was a ride. And I was like, maybe it was good. It was a good book. I read it, but never again. I didn't even want to look at it to try to remember the things that happened because I was like, I'll just wing it. I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to look at it again. But anyway.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I'm like, oh, I don't want to. Well, and it's funny too, because when I was thinking about this, like there was some that, the first one that I was going to talk about, which I don't know if you've read this, but did you read Verity by Colleen Hoover?
No, I haven't. And I kind of I'm like, I'm not going to read Colleen Hoover ever. So tell me about it.
Okay. So I do have to say, as for this, I have not liked any of her other books, but this book I really liked. And I think it also is because it is a very different book than anything else that she's written. She has done a couple of other. She has a book called Layla that's like a paranormal kind of suspense book. But this one, okay, so premise of this book is that there is an author and her name, I don't remember her last name, but her name is Verity. And she was in a car accident and she's paralyzed. But she was an author and she was in the middle of finishing this book series. And so her husband and her publishing company kind of get together and they're interviewing other authors to basically finish this series that she was contracted with. And so the book starts off with the girl that ends up they pick, but they end up picking her and she actually meets Verity's husband on the street because a pedestrian gets hit by a car right in front of her as she's walking to. So this whole book starts off with like massive gore, like weird scene, right? And then, so I'll kind of condense it, but she goes in, she meets the husband and the publishers because she's also an author. So they've like read her other stuff and she's just basically trying to be the one to finish this series that Verity was contracted with. She ends up getting the job, and what she does is she actually goes and lives with them or with the husband and their family. Okay. They have a son. Okay. And She's staying at their house, and Verity is in this room upstairs, and she's a vegetable, like totally comatose. She has in-home health nurses that come and feed her and take, like, she's completely paralyzed, and she's
we
nonverbal.
know what happened to her yet?
She was in a car accident.
Oh, okay.
She was in a car accident. Yes, yes. So Verity is doing, because she has all these notebooks and all this research, right? So Verity has all this stuff. The woman that is picked to go and do this, she is going through all of these manuscripts and old documents and all of this information that Verity had gotten prepared in order to kind of finish the series. But while this woman is going through this stuff, she finds all of these very personal journals of Verity's. And all this stuff starts to come out, okay? Or what's in these journals. So we find out that the family, they had twin daughters that are both deceased. In the journals that Verity wrote, there's all this stuff about her, like, not really wanting to be a mom. She would let the twins, like, sit and cry for hours at a time so that she could write. And she talks about just how obsessed with her husband she was. Like, she had, like, a very possessive, and she put on a totally different mask in front of him. So all this journaling is kind of going through kind of how weird and crazy she was, obsessive about her husband, kind of a negligent mother, and then how he kind of convinced her to have another kid because he wanted a boy. And so they did. But the twins, you find out as the book progresses, and this woman who comes, she basically wants to steal Verity's life. Like, she wants to insert herself.
They always want to steal someone's life.
I know. She's like trying to get the husband to be, like, they end up kind of having a little secret affair, and Verity is vegetable upstairs while this is like, there's a very specific part where she read in the journal about how Verity would bite the headboard while they were So this woman author finds the same teeth marks in their headboard and bites over the top. Like, so everybody sucks, honestly. It's like all these things. But you find out that, like, so the twin daughters, I told you, very sad. They both had passed away. One of them had a severe peanut allergy and went to a friend's house and got exposed to peanuts and went into anaphylaxis and died. The other twin had a very suspicious drowning death on their property. And so the suspense of this book is, like, building up because she is getting through all the journals from when all of her children were young up through one of the twins passing away to the other one passing away. And you find out that she liked the other twin that died of anaphylaxis more and let the other one, she basically pushed her out of a canoe and let her drown.
My fucking God.
Yeah. So freaking crazy, right? Okay. So it gets crazier than that. Okay.
Oh my God. Psychological thrillers, man.
I know. So I was like, I had young kids at the time. I think that my youngest was maybe 2 when I read this. So I think it was
that's
COVID that I read this one too. Yes. So that was really hard for me to read, obviously. But then what you find, the little boy treats her really weird, which you kind of assume, like, here's this weird woman that's staying in her house that's writing books, but she's, like, flirting with my dad, all this kind of stuff, right? So it comes out that she gets to up to the day before Verity is in the car crash.
Okay.
And so now she's trying to decide if she should tell the husband, because he doesn't seem to know any of this stuff. He doesn't seem to know that Verity did these things or was negligent or possibly killed their other daughter, right? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So she decides, he leaves. See, now I'm kind of like, I can't remember exactly like, events or whatever, but he takes the boy out for an evening or away. And because she kind of confronts him, she tells him that Verity did all these things. Like, she's like, I really wasn't trying to snoop, but I was trying to get research done to be able to finish these books and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she tells him everything that she found in the journals. And he gets, like, really quiet and really upset. And because the little boy's gone. I can't remember why he wasn't in the house. He went to a grandparent's house. He was doing something.
Yeah.
But they look, and Verity is standing at the top of the stairs.
I'm, like, scared.
She faked being paralyzed and a vegetable for months. on end. She pretended
What?
because the husband had found her journals and had found, like, before the car accident, he put her in a car drunk and he got in with her. Then he basically put her in there and put a brick on, like, the floorboard and forced her to crash into a tree.
Oh,
So
oh my God.
and then they kill her for real. Spoiler. Okay. But
Okay, so she really did do that to the kids, and he was trying to.
well, so after they kill her, they're cleaning out, like, her room that was set up like a hospice type things, and they notice that there's, like, a floorboard that's loose, and they pick it up. And Verity, while she was faking her vegetable state, had been writing and journaling and saying, like, I never did any of those things. I'm a writer, and I was, like, trying to give my. So you don't. Like, it's very open for interpretation on whether or not I know. But they find this. And so now the very last scene of the book has this little extra, like, bonus epilogue. And the husband and the writer who came in, they have a relationship, and she's pregnant, and they're sitting on a beach that's, like, in a totally different state than where, because this all took place in the New England area. Like, their little house was somewhere up there. So they were, like, down south, maybe South Carolina or something, and they're on the beach. And this older woman walks by with her dog, and she recognizes him from from where him and Verity lived in their original hometown. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry about, all the tragedy with your family. And then she notices that the woman with him is the writer, and she's pregnant, and she kind of gives them this look. And the way that epilogue ends is that the writer, she looks down at her belly and rubs her belly as her now husband walks off to follow the woman who recognized them, because they, like, it was crazy. And it was like every twist and turn. Well, and I told you, I am not I don't pick up on that stuff very well, but I literally could not. I could not believe it. Oh my God.
The fun part about those kind of books too is, I mean, the authors put in red herrings, and they do all these things, and, like, you really don't know what's going to happen if they're doing it. If they're doing it well, how do they kill her? Did they push her down the stairs?
I mean, they basically just overpower her because it's 2-on-1 now, and she's been faking being a vegetable and not being able to move, so she has, like, no strength. So I think they just, like, push her down the stairs, and they say that there was an accident in moving her, or something like that.
Yeah. I'm like, what was your end game there?
Oh my God. Well, because then they're like, no, like, because he wasn't divorced from her. You know what I mean? Like, so.
But I mean, like, faking being a vegetable.
Yeah.
And then standing up and being like,
faking being a vegetable because she was talking to the little boy. The little boy knew that his mother was not actually a vegetable and comatose.
Okay.
And that she was telling him that she was going to take him away, and they were going to run off together because the dad put her into that car accident. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was some plot holes a little bit, because I'm like, how can you fake that? Like, in a hospital setting? You know what I mean? So there was some stuff that
I'm sure there's some tests to see if you don't have feeling in you that are going to be hard to.
Yeah.
Hard to fake.
There was just so many things in that book that were just crazy. And it was, I remember I closed it and I was like, well, I'm going to need some therapy after that book, because
that's like when people are like, I'm like, oh yes, go touch grass. That's actually, get outside. You're not being, that would be a scary book to read at night. I was scared just when you told me. I literally was like, someone's behind me when she was at the top of the stairs.
And it was like one of those, it was nighttime, and I'm like, I'm just imagining this spooky, like, lightning, like, flashing. And she's like, it's dark, but the lightning flashes, and you see her at the top of the stairs. I mean, it was a jump scare for me in the book.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
a good one.
So crazy. Yeah. But it really. And that's what's so interesting, because she really does write more like, I mean, I think all of her books have a pretty, like, serious side or a serious note to things. Like, there's difficult subject matters and topics that come up in all of her books. But I would say that one is so much more of the thriller aspect than kind of the heavy kind of drama romance that I think a lot of her other books are. But it's because I read It Ends With Us, and when I read it, I thought it was good, but I also didn't think it was, like, great. Like, I didn't want to read any more of her books necessarily after, or It Starts With Us, which was the sequel,
right. And she wrote that basically from, like, TikTok demand, I think.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Woo!
I
Man,
know. So when people
that
are
was
like,
a
"Oh,
good one.
I love Colleen Hoover," I'm like, "Verity?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, her other stuff." And I'm like, "Well, that's Verity's
Right.
like
The
the
only
only
one
one
I
that
can talk to you about.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ah.
Wow. That was a good one. Another one that I had, this is just like, this book felt like a bummer.
Mhm.
But it's another one I think about a lot. I got rid of it because I was like, fuck this book. I'm never going to read it again. I'm mad at it. It's called While You Were Gone by Sue Miller. I don't even know how, I think it was just fiction. I don't even know how to categorize it, but it's about this woman who is kind of older. She has like 3 grown kids, or, her youngest daughter is about to be done with high school or something like that. But she runs into somebody she knew in college, and it triggers a bunch of memories for her, or makes her just reminisce on that time in her life where she lived in this communal house with a bunch of roommates. And the guy that she ran into, I think she sort of was interested in him, but, nothing ever happened.
Mhm.
I don't think he ever knew or seemed interested in her, whatever. But one of her good friends in the house ends up getting murdered. And uh, and it's like the 2 of them are together, and the main
Mhm.
character leaves to, I don't know, like go pee or to get something from the kitchen. And by the time she gets back into the room, this girl is like bleeding out and dies. Yeah. And then when the cops come, I think they don't really do a good investigation because they're like, oh, these hippies and there's drugs. And I was like,
Oh,
this is so weird because it just seems like a typical college house, like a bunch of kids
right.
living together and whatever. So I think with her and the blast from the past man, she is like, I can finally talk to somebody about this who will understand. And she again has that like attraction. I think her and her husband are in a fine marriage, but she's just like, we've been married for a long time and my life is just plodding along, blah blah blah. So they end up meeting again. I think they've met a few times to talk or whatever, but they meet again in a hotel lobby. She goes kind of with the intention of like, she's expecting them to go up to a room and have an affair. And
Mm.
he is like, I just need to tell somebody I'm the one that killed so and so.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so she's like,
What?
so she like she tries to tell the police. They can't really do anything about it. There's no evidence. I think that guy worked in a lab, and so he was able to go right after he did it. And I think she jilted him or something. That's why they
Mm.
ended up killing
Mhm.
her.
Mhm.
And but he's able to go to his lab and like incinerate his clothes. So there's no
Mm.
evidence that the investigation was not able to whatever, blah blah blah. So she just goes to the police. They think she's just like this horny lady that is mad because he wouldn't sleep with her.
Right.
And then her husband now knows that she was about to cheat on him, and it just kind of ends. And and I
That
was just like, what is this?
that's
And
so
that was back in the day where like I got that book randomly, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
just read
Yeah.
it and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was.
That's
And I think too, I don't read a ton of books that aren't happy anymore at
yes.
this
Yeah, me
point,
neither. Yeah.
and so the ones that were like that just stand out.
Out.
And I guess that's a
Mhm.
good, it's a testament to good writing, whatever,
Right.
you keep thinking about the book, but
Woo. Yeah.
not my favorite.
I because I feel like well, and I think that I could almost say that like most mysteries or thrillers kind of give me that same type of
Yeah.
like uneasiness, the unsteadiness kind of thing. But
Mhm.
so I think you might think this is funny, but on my list for when I was getting this put together, I put Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince on there as a book that really actually made
Oh,
me
really?
like and now because I was thinking about it, and the reason that I put that one on there is because I think that Dumbledore's death affected me big time.
Mm.
At the age of my like I was probably 16, 15, 16 when that book came out.
Yeah.
And when that happened, that was like, I can't even explain to you what that did to me. Like, it was one of I could not stop sobbing. Like, I think I had to
Hmm.
close, like, I had to get up. And well, I told you, I'm a big crier. I cry a lot in books.
Yeah.
And
I
I
have
talked
things
about
to
me and my
say.
mom. I know
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
mom and I
Yeah.
switching off.
Did you find out first?
Yeah. And so I am
God, how bad for your mom to be like, "Oh no, now I have to like what's the thing gonna be?"
well, and I think that before that book came out, J.K. Rowling had said that there will be the death of a main character in the
Okay.
sixth book.
I
Like,
know.
I
I
think
can
she had
like
prefaced
barely
that.
remember that long ago.
Oh, well, God. So it was really difficult for me. That was a big thing to process. And then, of course, my mom's watching me sobbing and she's like, I don't know if I want to read this.
Right.
She's like, give me that book. And I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
done. And she's like, well, can you finish? And then like through his funeral, like
I know, because I was like, you only have
everything.
like one more chapter after that, or like
Yeah.
two probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I ate dinner that night.
That
I
is
think I went up
crazy.
to my room and just cried and
See-
didn't eat dinner. Yep.
Okay, my Harry Potter experience was, I really didn't realize how like heavy that source material is until
Mm.
starting to read fan fiction
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
watching Kira Lewis read those books for the first time and like react to them and sob and cry. I was like, yeah, there's a bunch of child soldiers dealing with the war and all their friends dying horribly in front of them. But, you know, at the time, I just was like, I know I was reading that straight face. I don't even know. I literally can't even remember what my reaction would have been if I had any to Sirius dying or Dumbledore dying. And I almost would say like Sirius's death was like, if I would think about it now, like more of a hit for Harry and his first real major, like extreme loss.
Right.
And and then after that, you're like, and now Dumbledore, great. I'm just numb already. Like, who else is going to die? You know, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember what my reaction would have been to either of those things.
Well, I think I told
And
you.
You know that
reading
I'm
the
dead
books
inside,
to my.
So I usually don't cry when people die. I cry about like their character arc or like, ooh, they're like, I cry about weird stuff.
Well, and I think that Sirius's death, I think, was a shock when I read it, and I was almost like, he's going to come back.
Right.
That was my initial thought when I was reading that. But with Dumbledore, I was like, well, because Sirius didn't come back, so I was like, Dumbledore's not coming back. Like that was really, and I think that, well, and maybe for me too, I was like, so Harry has lost his two parental figures now. Like Sirius was
right.
One, and then I really think Dumbledore was one too, and then he lost his real parents, and I think that really got to me. And then I remember feeling, because it's so different in the books than the movies, how they kind of portray and how Dumbledore gives Harry information about what he's kind of doing.
Yeah.
Or what he wants
the Harry
him to
Potter
do.
movies, by the way. I hate them.
Yeah.
They're literally the worst. I can't even tell you. I probably have watched, I know for a fact I've only watched the 5th and the 6th one time. Like in theaters. That's it. Yeah. Never again.
Yeah.
I can't get through them. But anyway, continue.
No, that's okay. But I mean, just there's so much more in the books, I think, with the way that what Dumbledore is teaching him and trying to help him with, and he is so much more of a fatherly and parental figure. I feel like the movie, he seems so cold and disconnected, and just I didn't love that. But in the books, I really loved him as a character, and that was just it was just really it really made me very sad for Harry. And I was just like, well, it felt almost impossible for them to succeed. I think that was part of it too. Like, how is he going to be able to do this without Dumbledore, kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe that was part of it too. But yeah, I was like, well, Kirsten's going to laugh at me. But that one, it really got me for weird kind of silly reasons, but it did. So
it stuck with you. Now I'm like, what other book fits that category for me? Yeah, totally. I do think, okay, well, have you read Game of Thrones? But you've watched them.
Yeah. I've watched
it.
All.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those books really did also, and I read them, I think I got all caught up after the first season was out, because I'd never heard of it before. Jared and I started dating. He had watched the first season. He was reading the books, and I did read like all 5 of them before he finished book, 3 or something. But those were also the first kind of books where nobody is safe. Everybody, you never know when someone's going to die. And I don't know if just that mentality and reading that like has effect. I almost like don't get connected to characters purposefully, being like, you never know, they might die. So, and when I read The Red Wedding in that book, I remember just being so angry. Yeah. Like I had to take a break from it. I just like had to close it and be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not reading this book for a little bit, because that was crazy town. And I don't even know if I ever watched that episode either. I was like, I don't want to see that happen. Yeah. So I'm not going to watch it.
That was horrible. I mean, it's interesting, because I My friend that I went and I walked with this morning, we were kind of talking
Mhm.
about specifically what we were going to be talking about on this episode. And, you know, her and I, we were kind of going over some stuff. But Game of Thrones was actually brought up when we were walking because her and I were both pregnant during when that show was out. And very specifically when Cersei is going around and killing all of the babies and children that were potentially Baratheon bastards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to walk away. I
Mhm.
could not watch that for
Yeah.
a while. I think I told Devin,
Yeah.
I said, "You can finish this episode. I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me know if that comes up
No
again, if they talk about
thanks.
it." Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
that was a really tough, really,
I
really
know. After
tough.
having kids, a
Yeah.
lot of stuff hits different. I remember watching I've read, The Fault in Our Stars? Or A Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah.
I've
Yep.
seen the
Mhm.
movie, and
Mhm.
then it's been years and years and years, and I do wanna reread it because I have all of John Green's books, and I really wanna read his stuff.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to do that this year, but I tried to rewatch the movie kind of recently, and I was like, "I have to turn this off," because
Yeah.
she talks I think there was the line where she was like, something about, like, "If you're a parent of a kid who's dying," and I was like, "Bye." And I, I was like, "I'm actually gonna not watch this. Like, this is so sad."
Oh my gosh, and
So,
what
yeah.
about My Sister's Keeper? Did you read
I
that
read that
or
in
watch?
college, and I can't really remember it, but I do remember being like, "What the fuck?" And I've never
Yeah.
read another Jodi Picoult book.
Well,
And I have a friend who was obsessed with her, like, that's how I got the book from, and she's read, I think, everything that Jodi Picoult's written.
because I was just going to bring up 19 Minutes. And
Tell me about it. I don't know.
okay, well, I've read that book when I was in college. I think maybe freshman or sophomore, like summer, but it kind of intrigued me because I grew up very close to Columbine High School, like literally 5 minutes from there, and it is a
That's
mass
what it's
shooting.
about.
Yeah.
That
And
I would never be able to read that.
yeah, it was extremely difficult for me to read. And I can't remember a whole lot of it. I do remember it was extremely depressing and very, very sad. And that kind of I read that one and I was like, yeah, I don't think I need to feel this way anymore. I would rather,
Yeah.
like you said, I need to
Right.
read something
Let's
happier.
read some romance. Are you kidding me? Why am I going to read? I read to escape the horrors of real life, okay? I'm
Yeah.
not trying to read about it.
Exactly. So, but I did read My Sister's Keeper because my roommate in college, I think the movie was getting ready to come out and she liked Jodi
Yeah.
Picoult too. And so she's like, oh, you should read, this movie's coming out. And then I remember reading it and I was like, no, this sucks.
Right.
I'm very sad. But then they
Yeah.
changed the movie like a big time. They changed
Oh,
the
yeah.
ending.
Never watched it. A long time ago, I started making sure that I either never watched the movie. Like if it was coming out as a movie, I was like, oh, I'm going to read that book. Or I make sure to watch the movie first and then read the book because I'm like, ooh, that was good. I want to relive that, but better. So I'm going to read the book.
Yeah. Well, so My Sister's Keeper. So the premise of that is that one of the older sisters has
she's like cancer.
some type of disease, yes, or
like
cancer
leukemia
or something. So these parents, they basically like do a IVF where they make sure that they have another child that can basically be like a organ.
I forgot that aspect of it. How fucking terrible. How could you do that?
And the whole point of the story is that this middle or this second kid who is kind of like has to go. She did bone marrow transplants, which are extremely painful. She's done tons of stuff, but she's trying to get medically emancipated from her parents.
Right.
So that
it's like, so you have one child you can't stand to see in pain. So you purposefully have another child to put them in pain.
I could
Like,
never.
what?
I mean, it's so. The whole premise is just very difficult as a parent to wrap my head around because I would never do that. But it's interesting because in the book, the older sister is the one who's pushing for her to medically emancipate herself.
Yeah, and
I think in the movie,
that
yeah,
too.
she's like, I don't want you to be hurting anymore. Like they're both getting to be teenagers, so they're older, so they're understanding it. But the other thing so in the book, the older sister like ends up dying. Because she doesn't, it was like a kidney. It was something major that they were going to request basically from this second child that they had for this. Or, excuse me, in the movie, the older sister dies because she wins. In the book, the younger sister, after leaving court, gets in a car accident and dies. And they donate all of her organs to her sister. So the older sister lives. Yeah.
Hey, that was your intention from the beginning, wasn't it?
Yep. And it just, that
was
not
a satisfying thing to read.
No. And it was more like that one, it left me like reeling in a way that was not positive. Like it was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very
yeah.
negative, like I hated this. And
Right.
by the way, if any of these things that I'm saying don't actually match up, this is just what I remember
Right.
from
Right.
reading
Right.
and
Right.
watching the movie. Okay, everybody? So you can
Yeah.
be like, no, ma'am, that was not at all how that
Yeah.
happened. But you know
Leave
what? That's
us
how I remember it.
leave us a comment if Cammie's wrong.
Everything she said is incorrect.
Yeah, that probably was one of my first forays into a book that doesn't have a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't that old. I mean, besides, I guess, probably literature that you read in high school that you were completely disconnected from and didn't care about at all.
We're forced to read and didn't really
So,
catch
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did have a great English teacher in junior year and senior year. I had the same teacher and he was amazing. And I did love reading the assigned reading and then getting to go to class and talking about it. So shout out to Doc Star, my favorite teacher of all time.
And see, I liked the reading part. I did not particularly love the like a book report aspect and I'm so much better at it now, but I did really used to go in and we would start having discussions kind of like what we're having now, about the books that we're reviewing. And I would be like, huh? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just,
Right,
you guys caught
yeah.
that? Like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm a much more, I'm much better at catching what's actually happening in books. And
That's why I liked having those discussions in class because I was like, oh, didn't know that. Didn't realize. Oh, that's cool. Never would have noticed. I did love to like it and then read the Spark Notes too, so that I could like Spark Notes would tell me, be like, oh, he's a Christ figure. Cool.
Oh, this is what I'm supposed to be taking from
The rain was baptism. Wow.
Oh, that's so funny. I just remember, I think one of the most memorable things from my high school English lit class was we read Beowulf, and then I think we watched Beowulf and 300 in class, and that was like,
yeah,
I'll take that.
Connect the dots.
Exactly.
We watched Citizen Kane, and like, Doc Star would be pausing it and be like, okay, do you see this? And he's pointing out all the cinematic stuff and whatever. And I mean, we watched it over probably, I don't know, days of class.
Yeah, I was going to say probably like 4 or 5. Yeah.
And then I tried to watch Citizen Kane by myself and I was like, this is so boring.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's like all we watch is super old movies. So that's not a normal rotation, but we've watched that quite a few times.
And it's super long.
It is very long. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's a classic.
It is.
Broke some boundaries, I guess.
Yep.
Did some stuff.
Yep. Especially when it came
Maybe
out.
one day.
It's a big deal.
They'll be watching Heated Rivalry and talking about the cinematic aspects. Everything comes back to Heated Rivalry.
Movement. Yes. Yeah. Oh my. I've been wanting to joke about this, but I'm ready to reheat. I am ready to watch again. Yes.
Well, I did have a night. Now, and I was like, I should read. I'm all by myself. It's only 9:30. I could get a big chunk of the book done. But I was like, no, I'm rewatching as many episodes as I can before I fall asleep. So I did that. And then my mom, I was talking to her recently too, and she's like, okay, yes, she sent me an Instagram post about somebody talking about, turns out, the Empty Netters podcast. I mean, surprise, surprise, they are assholes. So, shocker. But she was like, did you hear about this? And I was like, Mom, I've heard everything about Heated Rivalry that there is to know. And then she was like, I'll still watch this program with you. And I was like, yeah, you don't have a choice. Like, you're watching it when you're here. So, we're watching it.
Oh my gosh.
And I hope I'm like, I just hope it impacts you emotionally the same way that it impacted me.
I know. I went out to dinner with some girlfriends the other night, and one of them has watched it, and the other one has not. And so we were talking about it, and my friend who has watched it, she was like, and I totally get this from just a viewpoint of somebody who did not read the book. She's like, the first couple episodes just felt kind of really fast paced. Like nothing is like, it just jumps ahead and it skips, and there's so much that happens. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. I was like, yeah.
And did you finish?
And she was like, it was a great story. She's like, that was probably one of the like sweetest like romances that I've like seen. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Tell me something I don't know.
My other friend, she's like, well, is there like, she's like, I'm kind of a prude when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I was like, have you watched Bridgerton? And she's like, yeah, it was very, and I was like, okay, never mind.
Oh, no.
Then never mind. Don't watch Heated Rivalry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It
joked
was
with
pretty
when
cute, though.
we watched the first season of Bridgerton, which we did our classic thing where we watched all of it except for the last episode and then never finished it. We just do that. We do that for a lot of seasons. But I was like, okay. Even then, I was like, I've watched Outlander. This is nothing. Outlander's so good. But my other friend at work, she watched it. She texted me and she was like, I stayed up till 2 a.m. last night finishing Heated Rivalry. I was like, yes!
It's so funny. I keep joking. I was like, I feel like one of those, I don't know, Bible thumper going around being like, excuse me, would you like to hear about our Lord and Savior, Heated Rivalry? So that you can...
And that's how I felt about Hermione, too. Our Lord and Savior, Draco Malfoy. But yeah, it's my ministry. And so is Hermione.
I know.
And I told you that Susan texted me from book club and she was like, I just finished episode 5 and I'm sobbing. I was like, yeah,
of course. I know. Like, I know that we seem crazy. And then everyone that I've talked to that is like, oh yeah, I actually watched it and I loved it. One of my mom friends from school, all she does is send me Heated Rivalry stuff on Instagram now. And she's like, have you seen this? And I'm like,
I was like, this is
been a
cute.
month. Yes, I have.
Like,
but
the
I
other
love
people are like
you.
sending me stuff and I'm like, I saw this like 3 weeks ago. But thank you for sending it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
Such good times. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't wait for us to actually dive in and do those books later this year too. I'm very looking forward to that. It's going to be amazing.
Fun. Yeah. For us.
Yes. And yeah.
I mean, whatever.
I know.
So great.
It is.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. There's going back to our topic, there's other books that mess me up, but a lot of people dying at the end. I mean, I feel like that's basically the things that stick with me, where I'm like, this didn't end happily. I'm pissed.
Because I was thinking through too. I mean, honestly, every single Sarah J. Maas book in her Maas universe, they all end on cliffhangers. They all end with unresolved things that happen. And so I feel like every single one of those that I finished now, remind me, did you read the Throne of Glass series?
Yes. And I want to reread it. I have it all. I want to reread. See, this is what I do. You have your trophy shelf, but I do that too. But when I really love a book, I want to be holding it in my hand and reread it that way, like a physical copy. So I want to reread those and like tab them. I'm excited about that. But yeah, I remember, and like the first couple they're all good. Overall, as a series, I gave it 5 stars. But Throne of Glass and Crown of whatever, the first
Midnight
2, I was like, those are fine. It wasn't until Queen of Shadows, the green one, I don't know, where she goes and figures out her magic stuff, and she confronts
meets
Maeve.
Rowan.
Yeah, meets Rowan, and but the end of that, where I was like, the twist.
Yeah.
When she fights her or whatever, I was like, this is amazing. I feel like that was when she finally started having really complicated and intense plans that when they came to fruition, I was like, oh, Eileen, you're such a planner, or Aylin, or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I love it when you lay this little trail and then it works out exactly the way you wanted it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sarah, her with her, it's like, okay, we only have 80 pages left. Some shit is about to go down. And that is one of the few, I guess, authors that I've read that does that, where you're just like
consistently.
What? Like nothing happens the whole book. And then it's like everything that could possibly happen happens in these next 20 pages. You're just like,
all that stuff that you were like, why are you telling me about this? Comes to your head. And then you're like, so those things were important. I did need to know that those things that were going to happen. Because Kingdom of Ash, I finished that book at about 2 a.m. And I had to get out of bed and go sit on the couch and sit in the dark and sob because I was crying so hard.
Yep.
That
Didn't
I was
cry
going to wake up the whole house.
I'm dead inside. I'm like Chandler. I can't cry.
See, and I'm a waterfall at all times.
Yeah.
So that book, it killed me quite a bit. And even like her, and I know you have not read Crescent City yet, correct?
I haven't, no, but I have the 3 of them and I want to read them, but in the next 5 to 7 years, I'm sure I'll get to them.
Yeah, the first book was, even just within the first 5 chapters, the first book had me crying. Yeah. And yeah.
Did someone die?
So, yeah. Someone died. Yeah. It's yeah. But I do have to say that as much as I love her, that series was probably my least favorite. But the first book in Crescent City was really, really good. And I think that the next couple of books, like it follows the same plot line and same kind of similar trajectory. It's not like that, but I didn't love that world building quite as much as ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. It was just different. I mean, it's set like modern, like there's cell phones and computers and yeah, so it's a modern fantasy, so it's just a little bit different than her other stuff. So it just
that is interesting. Yeah. Totally different vibe.
Huh. Exactly. Well, should we wrap that up for now?
Probably.
For here? And then we can, I mean, there's more books always to talk about.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Yeah. So for now, we appreciate you guys coming and listening and like and comment and all that stuff. And then get ready for our next episodes, which are coming out next week. The Island. Yes.
The angstiest angst that ever angsted.
Yep. And you will probably be just as annoyed as we were with one of the main characters in that book by the end of listening to us talk about it.
Yep.
Sounds good. No spoilers. I won't tell you who it is. So
yeah.
All right.
Woohoo.
Well, thank you for listening to our first bookmarked episode. And hopefully you enjoyed it. These are going to be just super fun. Us chatting about whatever we want to chat about. Mostly books. Yeah. But as you can tell, some random tangents too.
All right. Well, love you.
Bye.